Hey everybody, Danny here, and we are going to be working on some mobility today. Really excited to have you here. Hopefully you're in a space where you can do a little bit of mobility work with me. Ideally, even if it's just somewhere on the floor, clear open space. Just give yourself about 5 or 6 feet in either direction, and let's get this party started. Another thing that could be helpful is if you have something like a bolster available. You don't have to use it. But it's good to have it available. So today's class, the intention behind it is of course going to be to improve our mobility, but it's specifically going to be focused on our shoulders. So we're going to go through a progression from fundamental to more advanced. It's going to focus on shoulders in particular. Our whole body is going to get covered just naturally by doing all these movements, but the shoulders in particular are going to be opened up. And I'm going to look forward to your feedback to see how you feel afterwards, if you feel a difference in your shoulders. So this is a two-way conversation at the end if you want to type some questions once we're done. It's probably going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to get through the series. And as with all classes that you ever do, make sure that you don't push into pain. Listen to your body's signals. The most important thing is that you are there, present, connecting to your body, and making these movements meaningful and doing these movements with the intention of gradually restructuring your body, as we talked about yesterday. So anyway, what I want you to do is come into a kneeling position, and we're going to start with just a few breaths. Breath is the cornerstone of all movement, especially mobility. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is take deep diaphragmatic breaths, abdominal breaths, with the intention specifically of trying to release our shoulders. So I'm going to clap out the seconds. So we do about a 4-second inhale, 4-second exhale. But the intention is not only to follow the rhythm, but to see if you can get your torso, your rib cage, to fully support your upper body so that you feel like you're connected to your torso and it's allowing your upper body to just actually relax and go limp. So you're learning how to trust your torso. Let's do 4 of those breaths with that intention. Okay, so take a full exhale. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Okay, hopefully you felt some slack in your traps, in your neck, and your shoulders sort of release. The second drill we're going to do before we move on to more movements is use our breath to open up our torso. Okay, if our torso is going to support us structurally, it's also got to be open in here. So what I'm going to have you do is take one hand and put it on your belly. Other hand, you're going to flip it around and put it right opposite that hand on your back. And we're going to breathe here into this whole 3-dimensional space, providing the structure and openness and looseness to be able to support our torso and help us breathe. So let's breathe together. 4 breaths now. Again, full exhale. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing into your hands. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, so these are just some basic mobility drills right there, just to open up your torso. Your torso is your power center. It's your center of gravity. If it's not open and if it's not doing its job, your shoulders and your hips and everything else is going to try to take up the slack. Okay, so fundamentals of shoulder mobility or any mobility is the torso. Give it a lot of attention. Okay, so from here, let's go over some basic ground movement stuff. So let's come into cross-sit position. Okay, let's build our posture in this position. Okay, just push your knees gently down, rock your whole pelvis forward. See if you can really open into your hips for a moment, and then rebuild yourself up from there so your spine is as long as possible. If it's not, feel free to sit on the edge of a bolster. I'll do it just so you can see, to be able to really make sure that the spine is upright. So again, your torso can do the job and the shoulders can get relaxed. Okay, from here, we're just gonna do a simple reach. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be reaching overhead. First, just go ahead and reach overhead as far as you can. Okay, try to keep your ribs down, just reaching from your shoulder joint. And then you can add in your ribs and really look up or reach as far as you can. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good, now we're gonna do it slightly differently. What we're gonna do is we're gonna maximize the external rotation of our shoulders. So what you're gonna do is lift both arms up so the elbows are about even with the shoulders. Get as much external rotation as you can. So that's gonna be here, as far back as you can. Not with the ribs and back, just with the shoulder. At the same time, so external rotation, reach, 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 spread your shoulders apart as far as you can, reach, reach, reach. And then start to slowly reach overhead, keeping the ribs down. Reach, reach. Okay, you may find yourself stopped here, and that's okay. Breathe and reach. It's not just about elongating your muscles. It's about gaining the strength in the right muscles to make the motion come from the right joints. Okay, you may find yourself come full extended, bringing the ribs, reach as far as you can, even if the elbows are bent. No pain, just reaching deep into those shoulder joints. Reach, reach, reach. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good job. Okay. So the point here is to actively get you involved in reaching, not just come up here and stretch your muscles. It's not what we're doing. We're getting involved, we're connecting, and we're feeling our body. Next drill. One most of you who follow MovNat know, tripod transition. So what you're gonna do is get in a bent long sit. Okay, one leg long, one leg bent. Build up your posture. On the bent leg, rest your elbow. Other arm's gonna come behind you. And what's really important here is we create a triangle. Okay, so this is not a triangle. This is a triangle. Elbow straight. Roll the pit of your elbow away from your midline. Okay, and now you have a nice strong structure here. Okay, torso's not slouched, not arched the other way. A triangle is what we're trying to make here. So imagine that geometry in your mind, structurally strong. Okay, from here, push with your foot of the bent leg to lift yourself up. Shift weight back onto your foot so the triangle opens, and hold here for 2 breaths. 1 and 2. Okay, now let's take this long leg and we're just gonna slide it under, fold it in and slide it under until you're in a knee-hand position. Okay, in this knee-hand position, straighten out your back. Pull your shoulder blades apart as far as you can get them and take 2 breaths here. 1, 2. Good, okay. Now that leg you just pulled through, we're gonna kick it back through and come back into this bent long sit. Okay, the tension is just optimal to complete the task, right? So we're not too loose, not overly tight. We're just finding the right amount of tension for efficiency. As we switch sides, let's do the other side. Getting these shoulders working. A lot of shoulder tightness is because those shoulders just are not working. They're not stimulated in the way that allows them to feel supple and loose. Okay, so let's make our triangle. External rotation here. Okay, broad across the chest. Again, not arching, not slack, no slack in the elbow, not hyperextended either. Make a triangle. Make it structurally strong. Put weight on it. Shift weight back into the foot. Okay, and hold here for 2 seconds. Make the other arm loose. From here, just to make sure we're open, let's take this top hand and just reach behind us a little bit, like you're trying to grab something. Reach, reach, reach. Good. And then fold the leg under, come into knee hand position. Good. Make sure now we're forming a nice rectangle here. If you have long arms, that rectangle is going to be a little lopsided. That's okay. Okay. Fold the elbows, roll the elbows forward and pull across pull the shoulder blades apart. You are literally reaching the arms forward in this position, trying to get nice and tall, like you're trying to look over something. If you feel too much tension in your neck, just let it relax. One more breath. Good, okay? And then make your way back into cross-sit position. Do a quick check-in with your shoulders, see how they're feeling. Okay, you got a big stretch. You just had them bear some weight in a really balanced way, giving them that stimulation to kind of connect and learn how to function properly and naturally. Okay, and now we're gonna go into side bent sit. So what you're gonna do is take whatever leg you have crossed in front, lift it up. You're gonna swivel it behind you until you're in side bent sit. Again, feel free to bolster. If your hips are like this, okay, that means you need to bolster. Otherwise, your spine is locked down the whole time and you're gonna be tight in your shoulders. Okay, so you might have to push into this front knee to level your hips, but make sure your arms are loose. Okay, from here, what we're gonna do is, whatever leg is in front of you, that same arm, we're gonna reach behind us. Actually, before we reach the arm, what we're gonna do is first, keep the arm loose, and we're just gonna rotate with our torso first, because a lot of times our shoulders are tight because our torso, again, is not doing its job. So loosen your arms. What you're gonna do is, you're going to first just reach as far as you can around with your torso. Feel just your torso working against its own resistance. Okay, and don't even look with your head yet, just torso. 2 breaths. 1. With each exhale, you can go a little further. Good, okay. And now let's look the other way. So, just torso. Looking the other way. Try not to look with your eyes yet. 1. 4-second breaths. And 2. Okay, now we're going to bring in our gaze and our arm. Okay, so now let's look the first way, as far as you can first. Reach back with your shoulder. I'm going to have to scoot a little bit forward. And with your eyes. And we'll do 3 breaths. Each breath, try to reach a little further. Okay, try to keep yourself vertically aligned and reach around your center of gravity. 1. 2. 3. Good. Okay, other side. First the torso, then the neck and the arm come with it. And 1. Make yourself go further. Use your strength. Your strength is an important part of this. And last 1. You want to avoid trying to push with using leverage here unless it's really needed. Just use your intrinsic strength of your torso. Again, mobility is not just flexibility. Okay, it's your ability to have strength, which is coordination and control at a baseline, plus range of motion. You have to work these things together. That's what's going to create this nice, beautiful, fluid movement. Let's go to the other side. So let's lean back, windshield wiper both legs to the other side. Adjust as needed. And let's just start with just the torso. So lead leg, the front leg, let's go toward that and around. So first creating posture, upright position. Use your strength. Okay, relax in the shoulders, relax in the neck. 2 breaths. Good. And let's go to the other side. Connect in your mind's eye to your torso. Imagine your spine, your ribs, what are they doing? Okay, let's try it on the other side. 1. 2. Again, each breath should pull you further. We're going to bring the head and the arm into the equation now. Okay, so we're going to go first torso, then head and arm come with us, really opening through the shoulder. Okay, each breath should pull you further. Your mind's eye should be in your torso and in your shoulder, connecting and opening. Okay, 3 breaths. Ready? First torso and go. Okay, good. If you feel like you're cramping on either side, either the back of your shoulder or the hip flexor, that's okay. That's those muscles waking up. Don't worry about it. Don't go full on into a cramp, but just continue to work those muscles. The more you do this, the less that'll happen. Other side. So torso, reach, 3 breaths. Good. Hopefully you got a little further with each breath. That was really good. Last position that's basic is we're going to go into prone lying, and then we'll get into some more advanced strategies for the shoulders. Hopefully your shoulders are feeling nice and loose now. Okay, so what we're going to do is come into prone lying here on the elbows. If you feel this in your lower back, that means you got to bring your elbows further out, because that means you have basically zero spinal extension. Okay, because if just being here puts pressure in your lower back, it means your mid back is not flexing at all. Okay, but for most of you, you could probably be here. From this position, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a side, either side. You're going to look to that side and bring up the knee on that side. Then that's going to free up this arm to reach behind you and across as far as possible. Okay, so you're going to reach, 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 reach. Try to have your thumb facing up. 3 breaths here. As you're here, think about distributing that rotation across your whole spine, not just your lower back, not just your mid back, not just your upper back. Last breath. Feel your shoulder, your arm reach like you're trying to grab something, and then pull out the slack and reach further around you. Finish your last breath, and then let's do the other side. I'm going to flip around. Okay, so now we're in prone lying. Okay, if you can see yourself, again, take a look at your spine. If your spine doesn't make a nice arch, you're going to need some work on your spine. So that's other stuff we can work on. But for now, we're working on the shoulder. Bring the knee up. Solid support on the other side. Reach around, thumb up. So first, reach behind you, like directly behind you, and then open. With each breath, reach further back this way, and then with each exhale, reach further around. Good. Okay, you can work out of that. Let's come into a flexed foot kneel. Okay, just like so. We're going to sit here for a minute because it's going to be in our next transition as we transition to advanced movements. So let's just get used to this position as much as we can. Bolster is also okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just reach across our body. No torso, okay? Just reaching with the arm across our body. So stay facing me, facing forward, and just reach across. Again, we can add in the torso, but once we do, a lot of times it takes the pressure off the back of the shoulder. So let's stay here for 3 breaths. Thumb facing up. Reach, reach, reach. Elbows stay straight. 2. Very good. Torso is stabilized. You might feel your chest really engage here, which is good. Other side. 2, 3. Good. Shake it out. Okay, let's come into a posted bent sit right here. So now we're going to go into some advanced mobility transitions. These are going to be found in MovNat Mobility Advanced. The last stuff is all stuff that you'll find in MovNat Mobility. Okay, so if these are not available to you right now, just do the best you can. It's all good. Just get as far as you can. Don't go into pain. First transition we're going to do. I'm not going to break it down like I do in MovNat Mobility Advanced. We're just going to practice the transition itself. It's going to be from a posted bent sit. You can just watch me first. You're going to elevate, come all the way up into as far as you can into the shoulders. Then what you're going to do is spin your fingers behind you, pick a side so we can reach all the way down, all the way until the knees hit. And from that really flexed, extended position, you're going to get really deep into your shoulder. We're going to do both sides. So let's try this 2 times. So start in bent sit. Let's see, I'll get as far away as I can so you can see. Post, fingers pointed away from each other, knees pointed straight up. Lift yourself up, shift your weight towards your feet, and then just keep your knees tight together. Don't let them spread. And go as far as you can until you feel a big stretch in the front of your chest and shoulders. And let's just take 2 breaths here. Good. Okay, now let's spin your hands so fingers are behind you. And you'll find you'll be able to go a little further. Take 2 breaths here. In Mobility Advanced, we do a whole protocol that is more than just breathing, but for now, we're just gonna breathe and try it. Now what you're gonna do is remove one point of support, either one, and you're gonna just keep your hand planted and go all the way until your knees touch the ground, if you can, or just go as far as you can, and hold for 2 breaths. Okay, and then come back, put your other hand back down, fingers pointed away from your feet, and then let's do the other side. Lift the arm up and come all the way. 2 breaths. And then from here, you can just come into your flexed foot kneel. And then work back down. Okay, so that's a simple transition. Let's try it a little quicker together, just if you want to feel it a little more fluidly. Decide which side you're going to use to rotate. We'll do it 2 times so you get both sides. So come into a posted bend sit, come up, spin the fingers away from you, pick a side, come all the way to the flexed foot kneel, and then reach back, fingers pointed away from you, fingers pointed away from each other, come down. Good. And now let's try the other side. Up, knees point straight ahead. Try to avoid them from spreading. Fingers point away. Other side. And come up. And then fingers point away as you plant your point of support. Hand comes down. Fingers point away from each other. And come down. Okay, MovNat Mobility Advanced, we expand and spend more time there and use different protocols that really open up the shoulders as efficiently as possible. Of course, this is built on a base of being able to do a basic tripod transition and have basic shoulder mobility, right? We don't want to just hop right into this stuff, but it's nothing wrong with trying it too at the same time. If you feel like it's way out of your league, start with MovNat Mobility. We're going to go into another transition. Another thing though is even if it feels like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Well, there's always progressions from there too, right? Because you can do that much faster. We can always be smoother, better. We want to make sure our shoulders are open, but also strong. And then the other side of the equation is, can you press? Can you, do a push jerk, right? If you have very open shoulders, but you can't really do much with them other than stretch them, then, that's where L1F and all the other stuff kind of comes into play. Mobility is your ability to move. Incomplete, not just stretch, right? So anyway, next transition. This is kind of one of the more fun ones from MovNat Mobility Advanced. I'm going to show it to you. It's going to be from supine lying into a foot hand crawl. So I'm just going to show you my upper body first, and then I'll show you the lower body as well so you can see what's going on. So what I do is I post. Okay, I'm going to come and bring my feet up. I'll move so you can see my feet a little bit. Into the position we were just in, and then from here, what you're going to do is slide your shoulder under and come up into a foot hand crawl. Okay, it's a really cool transition. I'll show you again. Okay, so what I do is I put my hand down, walk the feet up, shift the weight onto my feet, and then come directly into this contralateral position in the foot hand crawl. Okay, so let's work through it together on both sides. Again, this is an incredible one for shoulder mobility. I did way too many pull-ups when I was younger, right? Trying to hit those military standards and go way too heavy. This whole, again, we can get into muscle name, doesn't matter. The whole underside of my arm into my rib cage is so incredibly tight. Nothing has released it like this movement. Okay, so putting it into motion really helps. So lie on your back. Knees pointed up. Okay, let's start with our right hand, or pick either one. You can pick a side. What you're going to do is reach it up in front of you. Plant it flat on the ground. Walk your heels as close to your butt as you can. And what you're going to do is you're just going to put weight into your feet enough so that you can slide your shoulder so you're on your side, just like this. Okay, and then from here, you'll naturally probably be off your heels. You can't really see mine, but from here, try to press your ribs down and lift your shoulder straight, like past your ear, like kind of over your head. And let's just hold here for 2 breaths. Good. And now what I want you to do is I just want you to fold both knees to your side and just get used to bringing your head all the way through, and then post your other hand and then come back to where you were. Bring the knees up. Okay? Now let's try this transition. Okay, so do it with me. You're going to be on the ball of your feet now. Hand is flat on the ground. What you're going to do is you're going to shift weight all the way onto your feet. Okay, so you have some space to get your head underneath. Okay, and if you need to, you can just kind of shimmy your shoulder until your head is past. If you feel like you have strength here, which might take some time, you can lift yourself up, turn, and the back leg, okay, the same side as the arm that's posted, is going to come around and meet you on that side. Okay, so hopefully for a lot of people this is going to be challenging, but you know, again, we break it down more thoroughly. I just want to give you a shot, give you a chance at trying this. Okay, so let's try the other side now. Okay, so you can see it as well. Okay, so the arm post, walk yourself onto your weight onto your hands, and let's just turn to the side. I'm going to just turn around so you can see me. Turn to the side. Weight is on your feet. Open up the armpit, ribs down, elbow pointing toward the crown of your head, and breathe here. Big difference between stretching here and being able to actually lift yourself up, but this is a good starting point. Okay, and then from here, let's just go ahead and either scoot ourselves, just kind of drag the shoulder till your head's past your forearm, okay, or you can lift yourself and then bring your hand through, just like so. Okay, and now let's try the whole sequence on that side. Here, so what you do is you come into supine lying, hand flips over. Okay, elbow is pointed straight up, knees are pointed straight up. Walk your feet underneath you. Shift all the weight onto your feet and push, turn, and then bring your back leg around to come into that contralateral foot hand crawl position. Good, okay. Let's come back into a kneeling position. And now you may have found that you kind of accumulated some tension in your shoulder, but at the same time they feel kind of open. So let's finish with 4 breaths. And I just want you to tune in to your torso, supporting you, being open. And I want you just to feel your shoulders ideally just totally rest on your ribs. Okay, not because you're pushing, because you're relaxing. Okay, let's take 4 breaths here. So your posture and your spine and your ribs, allow your shoulders to relax. Really put your minds on your torso. Last breath. Feel free to rest your hands on your, sometimes I just kind of flare my elbows, make sure my shoulders are relaxed and traps. Okay, and then take this last minute just to kind of explore around the room, reaching in different directions, and just see how your shoulders feel. Just kind of compare that overhead reach, that backward reach. See how it feels compared to when you first started. Okay, continue to do that for a minute or however it feels good for you. What's really important here is you didn't just stretch, so you feel more open, I'm sure. Okay, you might feel even more engaged, you might feel more connected to your shoulder joints themselves and your ribs, which is great, but you didn't just stretch. Because if you just stretch, those set points in your nerves, in your connective tissue, in your muscles, would just bring you back right to where you were after, a couple hours. With this, because you moved, because you connected, because you gained new awareness, because you made it meaningful, and kind of convinced you're working on convincing your brain that these movements matter and you need to be able to do them, and hopefully you start doing them more frequently, that's how those set points change. Okay, again, I like to say, You know, if you were under anesthesia, we're all flexible. Flexibility is like earned, okay? And when you were a kid, you were also very flexible. The tightness matters because the tension is what allows you to be able to move. You don't want to just be more flexible, right? You want to be more mobile, which just means being able to move. So I hope these movements helped you connect to new ranges of motion, put your mind's eye in different parts of your body, and helped you connect in order to move better and start restructuring your body. I'm going to pick up the phone. If you have any questions, let me know. Now would be a good time. I'm going to take a look through and just see if anybody posted anything. Feel free to ask a question. I encourage you to watch yesterday's IGTV with me if you, just want some more on the theory behind mobility, why it matters to move versus stretch, how to restructure your body safely without overdoing it. Don't see any questions just yet. I'll hang out for another minute. I'll tell you, I love doing this type of stuff, especially after, just this morning, I was working on my power-ups. I was working on some overhead pressing. So, it's just such a great way to round out, my shoulder mobility, you could say, to be able to do stuff that requires strength, but be able to do stuff that requires range of motion and control. And it just helps me, especially when I go outside. And it's not just about like being able to reach more or do crazy things outside. It's like when you're pushing on boulders and you need all these weird angles. I think we've all been there, right? Where like you need to be able to like support yourself as you move through different rocks and stuff. This is, suddenly your shoulder health matters because you're not just in these linear positions anymore. You're in these really awkward angles. And to have strength in those angles where you need it literally can be the difference between enjoying yourself and hurting yourself, right? Being able to move smoothly and gracefully and just really have a maximal peak experience while doing this stuff, or be in pain, or even potentially like not be able to support yourself as you fall and become afraid of nature or whatever. So anyway, saw a couple of questions here. I saw someone commented that it feels way better. Also, I'd love to hear about your shoulders, how they're feeling right now. Someone said that they love the class. Awesome. I wish I could pronounce your handle. I'm glad you appreciate it though and enjoy it. What else? So Jonathan the Fox says, what else can I do to train the flex foot position? It's almost impossible for me to sit comfortably like that. Yeah, so it just depends. So if your toes or your arch doesn't like to flex like that or extend like that, you can, there's plenty of like kind of isolated drills you'll find around the internet, and that's great. Those are good starting points. You could also just work into the movement very, very gradually. We'd actually go over that MovNat Mobility Advanced as a part of the foot section. Okay, so just because we go straight into a flex foot kneel, let me see if I can put this down. Just because I say, okay, go into a flex foot kneel and we start like this, doesn't mean you have to start like this. It might simply be, at first, making sure you can kneel so your ankle has the extensibility to make sure that, and your toes can actually extend. You can even start here and actually lean back and see if you can get weight onto your toes to make sure that they fully extend first. Just to because the extensibility creates space in the joints, and that's a good thing. That prepares you for good deep flexion. From here, you can take weight off and put it into your hands and just flex your feet under, and you don't have to put all your weight on there, right? Like just a little bit, and just kind of move your ankles around. Just get used to this position. Frequency over intensity, right? So within moderation, not intensely, do that pretty frequently, and that'll make a big difference. And eventually you'll be at a load with a bolster, and then eventually without it. I've seen it happen countless times. You have to take your mind and believe that you can do it though. That's a huge thing, right? Because if you say, oh, I'm hurt, or I can't, or someone told me I'm not able to, or I'm gonna hurt myself, then you've already decided you can't do it. Your toes do have the range of motion to do it. There are extreme examples where maybe you won't be able to ever fully flex a part of your foot or something, and that's understandable, but it's kind of rare actually. At the end of the day, most people can do it. So just work into it slowly. Looking at more questions. Okay, yeah, Jerome's just kind of reminding us about, again, all this is drawn from MovNat Mobility and MovNat Mobility Advanced. So if you like this sort of thing, that's what you're gonna get in both those things. We just launched MovNat Mobility Advanced, and I'm really excited about it. Honestly, the creation of MovNat Mobility Advanced was a part of my own frustration with not being able to make progress beyond certain ranges of motion that I was having trouble with, or just certain areas I still felt tight. And for lack of a better term, let's say my intuition, divine inspiration, whatever, there's this kind of like way of approaching this, and these new movements just started kind of emerging and kind of guiding me and showing me. So that was really cool. Just, I can't even fully take credit for it. It was just kind of flowed through me as the need sort of pressed itself. And I'm really happy with these transitions. I do want to say that they're not like, there's going to be more, like I can't wait to see the manual, because the idea here is not that these are the only transitions. There's endless variations, right? And I want you to create them. And there's no formula either. There's just the science, the logic, and then there's more flexibility to be able to apply it in the ways that work for you. You'll see that in the MovNat Mobility Advanced protocol in the manual, because what's important to understand is the structure is important, right? There's principles, there's methods, and then there's tools, right? So the principles and the method give you the structure to just fall back on the principles and do your own thing. And that includes taking these movements, and as I mentioned yesterday, they are the base of dance. They are the base of gymnastics. They are the base of martial arts. They are the base of all sport. So you can just endlessly expand within the practice of natural movement, or even beyond it into whatever inspires you and motivates you to move. So I just want to always keep the perspective there that we're not trying to create limited, boxed in ways to do things. We're just giving you principles and structures to scaffold you into wherever you want to be. More questions. Okay. From Dadre Built. Hey, Danny, do you have a preference of when to work on mobility, warm up, cool down on its own entirely? Yeah, I do definitely have a preference there. So I personally like to just do mobility whenever, like maybe 5 minutes here and there, especially when I first wake up. I like to do a couple minutes. I really like to incorporate it in my practice sessions. So if I'm going to do a practice session that day, which by the way, I don't do every day, I do, anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week, depending on where I'm at in my training or my life. I like to include these type of drills in a warm-up, and I like to intersperse them into the session as well. So I do them, let's say, probably every day to some capacity, just because it feels great. And then 2 to 3 times a week in a practice session. And then when I'm out in nature, I like to figure out ways that I can incorporate it, right? So like being able to do an extended split squat walk, right? So like this guy right here, which is in MovNat Mobility Advanced. I like to be, if I'm on one rock, I reach as far as I can to the other rock and then just make that transition really slowly. And I find that really, first of all, gets me incredibly sore and makes really profound changes just by being out there, and like really having to put it to the test and be unstable is another way I like to incorporate it. And so I kind of just make mobility a part of my life is really what it boils down to. That's the only way to make it permanent, right? Because we've all seen, for example, gymnasts, and like maybe if they work on this stuff early on, it carries over later in life. But we were all flexible at one point and mobile, and it goes away if you don't continue it. So just finding ways to bring it into your life.